Hello everyone, Dan here from guitarfromtheheart.com. Today I want to break down a concept that I believe can be very helpful to you in your chord playing. Now, we know that chords, like major chords, are composed of 1, 3, and 5, right? So like if you go to the C major scale, the C chord comes from the first note, the third note, and the 5. And that's what makes a C chord, right? If you take the 1 up an octave, you get, right? You're playing the 1 and the 8, which is really the 1 and the 1. But let's call it the 8 for the sake of this video, okay? Let's think of it as an 8. When we go up the octave, let's consider that repeat of the 1 as the 8th note in the scale. Okay, so we have the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 8. Basically, the concept that I want to explain today, it involves taking the 3 and the 8 from those major scales and like messing around with them. Okay, so what do I mean by this? So let's play a C major chord. In that C major chord, we're playing the 1, the 3, and the 5. And then we're repeating the 1 down here on the first fret of the B string. We're repeating that C, right? So let's consider that as the 8. And we know the 3 is here. So basically, what we can do with that C chord is we can mess around with the 3 and we can mess around with the 8 to get different chords. Okay? Now, once you're able to visualize this with different chords in actual playing situations, you have a lot more options in the way you phrase stuff. But let's take a look at the 3. So we have the C major chord. The 3 is here. 2nd fret of the D string, which is an E. And how can we mess around with that 3? Well, we can mess around with it by playing the C chord like it is and just kind of pick up that finger, right? Pick it up and we can play the 2 instead of the 3. And we get a new chord, okay? And we can also, instead of playing the 3, play the 4 in place of the 3, like so. So by placing the pinky on the 3rd fret in front of, right, like that, in front of the middle finger there, and play the F, and we get a different chord. So essentially what we did just now is we replaced the 3 with either the 2 in the C major scale, there's the 3, we replace it with the 2 or with the 4. There's the 4, there's the 2, right? So the 3 is here, the 4 is here, and the 2 is 2 frets below it. But we're doing that over here with the 3rd over here, where if we go 2 down, that's the 2, and we go 1 up, that's the 4. Hope that's clear. So by playing the C, that's C major, but by messing with the 3 and playing the 2 instead, we're playing the C chord, but we've substituted the 2 in. And this is what's called the C sus2 chord. Okay? Sus stands for suspended, and 2 means that we're playing the 2 instead of the 3 there. And the reason they call this a suspended chord is because it kind of leaves you hanging, right? So like the C chord feels like nice and comfortable, but when you lift that finger up, it leaves you like kind of like in a state of suspense, right? And you can resolve that state of suspense by going back to the 3. Right, so the 3. Sus2 by picking up and going to the 2. Resolve by going back to the 3. One more time, listen to that. Alright, pretty cool sound. That's sus2. So we messed with the 3 by playing the 2 instead. You can do the same thing, well, not the same thing, but by adding the 4 instead of the 3, we're substituting the 4 instead of the 3, and we get this chord. And that's also known as a sus chord or a suspended chord. But this one is the sus4, right? So we hit the sus2 by going to the 2. And we have the major. And we have the sus4 by going to the 4 instead of the 3. Okay? And it also gives you that leaving you hanging kind of feeling. And you can resolve it by going back to the 3. So one thing that I really like to do when I'm playing, and I'm just kind of not in the mood for just the major chord, is I kind of go sus4, major, sus4, major, like that. Or you can bounce back and forth between the 2 and the 3. So like major, sus2. Nice warm and fuzzy feeling, right? Major, sus2. And you can even do combinations. Okay? So I named the title of this video the 3s and the 8s. So basically, up until now, I've shown you how you can mess around with the 3s. But now we're going to mess around with the 8s. So for the 3, we had what scale degree is above the 3? The 4, right? And below the 3 is a 2. So taking the 3s and the 8s, we're messing with the 3s and the 8s. We mess with the 3s by going to the number that's above it and the number that's below it. So the 4 is 1 above the 3, the 2 is 1 below the 3. We can go back and forth between the 4 and the 2. And messing around with the 3, we get these 2 different chords that are called sus chords. Okay? By messing with the 8, we're going to do the same thing. We have the 8th degree, and we can go to the number that's 1 below it, which is the 7. Or we could go to the number that's 1 above it, which is the 9. Okay? Like I said, when you're doing the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you go to 1 again, right? But for the sake of chord building, sometimes we visualize it as we're now at the 8 and we can keep going in the next octave. Right? So that would be the 8, the 9, the 10, and so forth. So if you've ever seen a chord that has a 9, what that means is they kind of, messed around with the 8 and replaced it with a 9. So what do I mean by that? Let's go back to the C major chord. Over here on the first fret of the B string, we're playing a C, that's the 8. If we visualize that as the next octave, that's C, right? The next note in the C major scale is D. Right? So the 9 is a D. So we can mess around with the 8. And we can play, instead of playing that note, we can just put our pinky down here on the D, which is on the 3rd fret of the B string. And we replace that 8 with the 9 note. And it sounds like this. Alright? Again, I like these chords because they give me warm and fuzzies, honestly. But here's the regular major. And we added the 9 in place of it. And you heard what I said, we added the 9. So we call this a C add 9 because we're playing the 1, the 3, and the 5, and we added a 9. Alright? So far we've done the 3. We messed around with the 3 by playing the 4 and the 2 instead of it. We got the sus2 and the sus4 chords. And now we messed around with the 8. We played the 9 instead of the 8. We got a C add 9. So what else is there? What number's left? The 7, right? So let's play that C chord. We're playing the 8. And we're going to take away that 1. And we're going to go to the 7th note, which is a B. So we can get the B just by picking up this finger on this chord. So we replaced the 8 with the 7. And we played essentially the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7, which makes a major 7 chord. Okay, so what can we take away from this lesson today? We can take away that I call it the 3s and the 8s so you can memorize it easily. We have the 3s, we can mess with them by replacing the 3 with the note below it and the note above it, and we get the sus2 chord and sus4 chord. We can mess around with the 8, and we can replace it with the 9, get the add 9 chord, or we can replace it with the 7 and get the major 7 chord. So now it becomes a task of going through all the chords you know and kind of finding where are these notes in the scale. So like say if I play a G, I have to be able to find a 3 in the key of G, right? So there it is. I can play the 2 by going down a whole step. There's a G, 2 sus, right? Or I can go up 1 note and get the sus4. Just messed around with the 3 for the G chord. Or I can play with the 8, which is here, open G string. And by playing this note 1 note above, I can kind of take my index finger and come down and play the A instead. G add 9. We can't go down on this string to get to the major 7. Not in this particular voicing. But we could get it by messing around with this G, right? And play this note here. Okay, G major 7, nice sounding chord. And it's just a matter of doing that with all the different chords. Let's do it with one more chord. Let's do it with the A. Where's the 3 in the A? So A major scale is going to be C sharp, which is going to be this note here. So this is where the 3rd is in the A major chord. 2nd fret of the B string. So we can mess with the 3 by picking up that finger and playing down a whole step, or we can go up a half step to get the 4. So A, or most people probably play it like this. And you can pick up the ring finger, A sus2, back to the A, put the pinky down here on the next fret, A sus4. Okay? Where's the 8? The 8 is right here, 2nd fret of the G string. So I'm going to play it how most people would play it. And we can add, we could get the 9 by coming like this. Or we could get the major 7 by coming down 1 fret. Okay? So that's how that works. Hope that helps you to kind of become more versatile in your chord playing. this stuff goes a long way. Just start to learn where to put your fingers to get those 2s, those 4s, those 7s, and those 9s. And if you've just been playing major chords up until now, trust me, this is going to make things a lot more fun for both you and your listener. So for now, take care and have fun with that. Thanks for watching.